Hey guys, Dave Ray from DB Restorations here. How you doing? I'm going to show you guys the garage way to remove an engine and front suspension from your Mopar. Now you could do this at home. You see it. These guys got custom dollies and stuff, and they got lifts, and they pick the car up, set it down, lift it off, and it's all easy peasy and all that stuff. I'm going to show you how you can do it in your garage with just an engine hoist here. Even got some cheapo jack stands, and I even got a cheapo jack. So I'm going to show you. You guys at home that don't have all this fancy equipment, this is the way Dave, myself, used to do it at home. Take out the engine front suspension without yanking the engine up through the engine compartment and banging up all your firewall and everything else. So here I'm going to show you what you do. First off, I'm going to kind of zip through things because I got this done. Upper control arms, get your bolts and everything out of there, get your shock off, pop everything loose, let it relax down like that, okay? Torsion bars. Sit up underneath of there, you can see mine are back there if you can see them. Pop your torsion bars out, both sides, okay? Get your engine hoist underneath the engine. You can see I got everything thrown on top of the motor. All the engine wiring harness, all the hoses are disconnected, radiator, everything's popped off of the firewall, everything, okay? So we get all that there done. I put a lift plate on the top of the engine. I got my hook in the furthest rear portion of that because I got the transmission still on there. So either it's gonna help balance it out a little bit, okay? Jack stands. I got these on the lowest position on the front frame rails. Make sure it's on the frame rails. Don't put it on the pinch welds or on the floor pan. It's gonna bust through, especially in a case like this car because it's got rusted out floor pans. Your jack, I got it underneath of the transmission cross member. I took out all the cross member bolts. The jack's just sitting kind of a little bit relaxed. You can see it's not quite touching. So whenever I start dropping the engine, I want that transmission cross member to pop off of that little frame rail section right there, okay, which is your torsion bar, cross member. So I want it to pop off of the torsion bar cross member onto the jack. So jack stands, lowest position. I got the engine hoist up underneath of the car. What's going to happen here is I've taken out all the cross member bolts. There's only 4 of them. So there's one there, one back there. I took those out. Now, my engine hoist is actually holding up the engine right now in all the front suspension. So when I lower this thing down, it's going to actually come down and sit right on top of my engine hoist. Okay? It's going to sit right on the legs. It's going to rest right on that. These legs are pretty strong. I got a 246. It's a 6-wheeler, so it's a fold-up one, but I'm going to actually set everything down right onto that, and I'm going to use the engine hoist as my dolly, and I'll show you where we go from there. So once that sets down and is relaxed, I can actually pick the car up. I'm going to put this dolly right here underneath of the car, and the car will be high enough to actually roll the engine and front suspension and transmission out from underneath the car. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So hopefully I covered all the bases for you right there. Pop all your front suspension loose, undo all your torsion bars, undo your transmission cross member. Take all the bolts out of that and make sure it's supported by a jack so you can lower it down as you're lowering the engine down. So everything's hooked up. So here we go. So I'm going to actually start to lower this thing down. So we're going to go nice and easy. I'm going to see if I can do that while I hold the phone here. So here we come down nice and easy. Okay, you can see it's going down. It's just about ready to touch my deal there. Now I'm looking right here. Look, here's an issue for you right here. Okay, you can see how far this alternator swung out. So I'm actually going to have to pull that off because it's going to touch on the frame rail. So that's not going to clear whenever the car goes up. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and pull that off there. Be right back. Okay guys, we're back. Alternator's off. I just set it up on top there because I didn't feel like disconnecting the wires. So now we're going to go back to lowering, but I'm just going to give a little once over here. Everything looks clear. Make sure we're not hanging up on anything. Looks good. Filter adapter and everything on there. And you can see right here, everything looks good except the fuel line. So we're going to take care of that real quick. Okay, fuel line is off. So let's go ahead and lower this baby back down. Nice and easy. See, I got it sitting down. Now if we come down here and look, see how sway bar's sitting up on the engine hoist right here? Lower control arm sitting there, nice and flush. As you can see, the other side here, lower control arm sitting on there, front sway bar sitting on there. Just make sure none of your stuff here is hanging up. Go underneath it here, and I know this transmission cross member is going to be a pain because it's hanging up on me, so I'll have to pry that loose. But we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll go from there. So you can see we're resting comfortably. The engine is in front suspension. Okay, you guys, I got a light underneath it here so you can see our transmission. There's our transmission cross member. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this down. You can see it clear in there. Here she comes down. I unhooked my shift rods, you know, that go above the cross member. The reverse rod sits down the bottom, so I was able to leave that one on, but I had to pull my two upper rods off so they didn't catch. So there we got our transmission down. Engine's still sitting there. I'm going to lower the engine a little bit more to make sure it's totally relaxed, and then we'll work our transmission all the way down. So hold on just a sec. All right, you guys. So everything's sitting down on top of the actual engine hoist on the frame of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin my little jack around here, because whenever I roll this thing out, it's going to support my transmission and steer it right on out of there. So now we're going to go back up top, and we're going to actually lift the car up off of everything else with the engine hoist. Okay, so here we go. Let's come on up here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a chain, and I'm going to put a chain across my shock mounts here and over there and hook it to the hoist. You can see hoist is disconnected. This thing is totally relaxed now. So now I'm going to lift the car up off of everything else. So let's get the chain hooked up and we'll do that.